Good morning. Welcome to Hindu Newspaper Analysis, 6th November 2022. First article talks about Center lifts work restrictions under MG Narega for Kerala. This article highlights that Government of India under Ministry of Rural Development recently accepted Kerala government request to remove the restrictions over MG Narega projects. In the month of July, Government of India issued a circular mentioning that only 20 projects are allowed under any panchayati. Now it is raised to 50. If you recall, a couple of days back, we got an article from same newspaper talks about internal committee report on MG Narega works. It highlights ways is non-uniform and unupdated. Some states providing 216 rupees, 220 rupees, whereas market provides 600 to 700 rupees. Delay of funds is one more reason. Delay of funds for the project at the same time. Social audits also. Quality of works is also cause of concern as per the internal committee of Ministry of Rural Development. This article raises one more issue that center imposing restrictions over number of projects. These points can be useful in answer writing, particularly with respect to MG Narega questions or even rural development also. Further, next article talks about social issues, that is child marriage. The article highlights how India is planning to end the child marriage. We are well aware that child marriage is one of the social issue which is historically India is fighting against it. And there was a goal to end the child marriage by 2030, which is part of sustainable development goals also. However, India has a tremendous track record in fighting against the child record. For example, National Family Health Survey mentions that there was 47% of child marriages in 2005-6. Today, it comes to 23.3% as per the latest report of National Family Health Survey. Let us see why we have this kind of child marriages in our society. The major reasons for the child marriage are it is poverty and lack of rural development, poor educational awareness, and education under the Right to Education Act is provided only for 14 years for free. Later, we have to go for the costly, we have to go for the spending money. Later, it's a part of culture. For example, there was a NGO called as Sati NGO mentioned that in Rajasthan it is a part of culture. So these are some of the reasons we can say why we have more child labor. In addition to that, some recent reports mentioned that lack of security while going to school. Next, recent developments of love affairs and fear of elope are some of the reasons for the more and more child marriages. If you see the consequences of child marriages, most of the health activists will say it is rising maternal mortality rate, it is rising infant mortality rate, and also anemia among the women. Further, according to National Family Health Survey, it is also one of the reasons for the malnutrition and stunting. You know very well that India is the stunting capital of the world, whereas 35.5% of Indian children are stunted as per 2019-21 report of National Family Health Survey. It is well evident that National Family Health Survey said mother education is inversely proportional to malnutrition. Now, social impacts of child marriages, if you see violence, particularly marital rape and gender violence is very high. Issues of dowry and domestic violence are also very high because of this because of this child marriage. Further, politically, it is a violation of human rights, child rights, and even violation of an international commitment of India, that is CEDAW, Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, 1993. Let us examine what we can do for eliminating child marriages. According to some experts, there are good amount of laws in India. If the strict implementation of laws is done, definitely it is going to help the eradication of child marriages. Example, we have Minimum Age Act 1955, Child Marriage Restriction Act 1929, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, and recent POCSO 2012. Implementation of these acts on letter and spirit definitely help the eradication of child marriage. Further, social infrastructure, particularly health and education, is near the hour. And if you see the close link between the educational and vocational training, which is not working in synergy. Of course, thanks to national education policy going to make vocational training from the 6th class onwards. But unfortunately, in today's world, in today's Indian society, if you want to get vocational training, you have to either go to some other places, because most of the national skill development centers located far away from the villages area, and that is one of the reason where parents are not ready to send their children. So we need to arrange this skill centers at the village level is important. State specific programs, for example, West Bengal launched Kanyasri and Rupashri are some examples, and even Government of India in 1994 launched Apni Beti Apni Dhan. It transferred money to the parents who are delaying their marriage of children, particularly girl childs. Haryana implemented this project very successfully. Finally, Action Aid Association India, an NGO, suggested that local governments will play an important role. They have a case study from Odisha, which launched a project called as Aliva, in which Anganwadis plays an important role in getting the data of adolescent girls. Now, the NGO Action Aid Association in India suggested that child protection committees at village level, at panchayatis level, child marriage prohibition officers at panchayati level definitely going to help the increasing the awareness and eradicating the child marriages. And Odisha with that activities announced 12,000 villages as a child marriage free villages. Karnataka even implemented such similar measures as per Shivraj Patel committee, which successfully reduced the child marriages. Further, we need to understand that there is a vast human resource link in respect of women in India. For example, self-help groups is one example where self-help groups can provide more awareness, and we can empower the people, inspiring from the Kerala state with the help of Kudumbashri. By doing this such measures, definitely girls will get financial empowerment, and definitely they can sustain their life without any pressures. Further, Uttarakhand government recently drafted MBBS syllabus in Hindi. This is a step in right direction. Now, languages are going to help the local students, particularly who are not able to get proper English education. Further, it is also helpful in strengthening the conservation of language. And you know very well that recently Madhya Pradesh announced the same kind of policy, and now Uttarakhand is joining the list. Next, Government of India gave explanation to Delhi High Court that they should treat the Janagana Mana and Vande Mataram at equal respect. If you closely observe the developments, it's the Vande Mataram which played an important role in national movement. In 1882, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyaya wrote Anandamat book, and he wrote this Vande Mataram poem. And this was first sung in Indian National Congress meeting in 1896. In 1896, they first sung this Vande Mataram. And you know very well that there is a movement, Vande Mataram in 1905, which is also called as Swadeshi movement in India. Vande Mataram is not a song or is not a word, it's an emotion during the freedom struggle. I want to quote here Rajendra Prasad, the first president of India, who said, there should be equal status and equal respect for the Vande Mataram and the national anthem, because national song played an important role during the historic struggle of India's independence. However, national anthem got huge respect from the Constitutional Assembly. Fundamental duties, which was added by Justice Swaran Singh Committee, also highlighted we have to respect the national anthem and national flag. And there is an act says Prevention of Insults to National Honor Act 1971, which imposes penalties on the people who intentionally disrespect the national anthem. Further, it is well noted that national anthem was written by first Nobel laureate from India, that is Rabindranath Tagore, in his paper, that is Tattvabodhini Patrika, which was a paper of Brahmo Samaj. And he wrote in the name of Bharata Bhagya Vidhata, and then he published it. Further, national song is also written in Anandamat paper. Both were adopted by Constitutional Assembly on 24th Jan 1950. Next article talks about over 64,000 people in India die because of snake bites. Snake bite is a neglected tropical disease which is one of the cause of concern for Indian health infrastructure, particularly rural people. We are aware that snake bites are very normal in village areas, particularly those who are associated with the agriculture allied sectors. Unfortunately, government doesn't have any strategy to clear. But we don't find any articles also. It is an interesting thing, that is, a Nature Journal published an article which was published in Hindu newspaper today, highlights that among the India, Uttar Pradesh having highest number of snake bites every year. Snake bites taking the life of 64,000 people, which is not a small number. Predominantly, they are the people from village areas. And other highlighted that there is a need for national strategy in this point of view. National strategy to prevent this problem, national strategy which focus on awareness and reducing human environment conflicts, promoting human environment conflict management. Further, it also want common based programs and community based programs to eradicate these problems. And here others suggested that 21st World Congress of International Society of Toxicology suggested strengthening primary health centers in village areas for the development of for the way to prevent this snake bite attacks and to reduce the loss of life. And one more important thing is India can invest more on the research and development. India can be a pioneer in the fight against snake bites globally also to rise its status. A welcome step, that is, Indian Council for Medical Research recently announced to study the impacts, not any strategy. So there is a high need for strategy to counter this problem as of today. Last but not least, there is an article talking about Shyam Saran Negi, the first Indian independence voter, dies. This article talks about importance of right to vote. We all were aware that in UPSC prelims also there was a question about UPSC prelims asked a question about right to vote is which type of right. According to UPSC, it is a constitutional right. So democracy, vibrant democracy is represented in terms of conducting free and fair actions, and there is a person who voted almost 34 times in his lifetime, and that is a mark of respect towards democracy from people point of view. Thank you so much and Jai Hind.